My name is Mary D. Boutin. I was 19 years old when I told my family I was moving out, and the way they laughed at me made it clear they didn't see me as a daughter, they saw me as a punchline. When I said it, they didn't do a polite laugh, not even the nervous kind people give when they think you might be joking. No, this was uncontrollable laughter, the kind that steals your breath, like I had just announced the most ridiculous fantasy imaginable. My dad leaned back in his chair and shook his head like he couldn't believe how stupid I was. My mother smiled with that condescending expression she always wore when she thought someone was humiliating themselves. And my sisters, twins, giggled like they were watching the best comedy special of their lives, whispering to each other between bursts of laughter. Then came the insults. "You're a loser. You'll never make it. You won't last a week. You'll come back begging like a stray dog. Honestly, it's a relief you're leaving. One less problem for us." I stood there and said nothing. There was no point in arguing, no point in explaining. Nothing I could say would change their minds because they had already decided I was a joke, and they were enjoying it too much to stop. It started at dinner the night before. I'd been planning my move for months, working quietly, saving money, setting everything up. I'd found a small apartment across town in the actual city, not that miserable little town where everyone stayed trapped in the same cycle, never doing anything with their lives. I didn't need their help. I didn't need their support. I just wanted to let them know. "I'm moving out this weekend," I said. My father put down his fork and stared at me like I'd confessed to a crime. My mother shook her head, unimpressed, then let out a short, sharp laugh through her nose. "With what money?" she asked, like the answer was obvious. "From my business," I said. That was all it took. My sisters burst out laughing first, then my dad scoffed, then my mom covered her mouth like she was trying to hide the laughter but couldn't. "Oh my God," she said, still laughing. "She thinks she's some kind of businesswoman." More laughter, more whispering. My sisters looked at me like I'd said I was going to be an astronaut. I didn't react. I didn't explain myself. That only made them push harder. "You running a business, you can't even take care of yourself. You'll be homeless in a month. People like you don't make it. You're not smart enough. Let's see how long it takes you to come crawling back." For the next 2 days, they made sure to remind me how much they didn't believe in me. My father sighed and shook his head every time he walked by my half-packed bags. My mom made sarcastic comments about how I should take pictures of my apartment so I'd remember it when I got evicted. My sisters whispered and giggled nonstop, looking at me like I was the biggest joke they had ever seen. It was pathetic, really. They acted like I had announced something insane, like I was running off to join a cult or live in the woods. I was just moving to a different part of town, but to them, the idea of me succeeding on my own was the funniest thing in the world. So I didn't argue, I didn't defend myself, I didn't explain. And then the day came. I packed my things, grabbed my keys, and walked out. No big speech, no dramatic exit, no last words. They didn't even say goodbye. The first thing I felt when I left was silence. Not the uncomfortable kind, not the silence that comes when you don't know what to do next. This was the best silence I had ever experienced. No sarcastic comments from my mother, no sighs from my father, no giggles from my sisters. Just me, my packed car, and the road ahead. I moved into a small apartment in the city. Not fancy, but clean, and it was mine. It was strange at first being in a place where no one rolled their eyes at me when I spoke. I could breathe. I could think. I wasn't afraid, because I had my business. It wasn't huge yet, but it was making money. Drop shipping, buying and selling products without ever touching them. I had spent months setting up websites, finding suppliers, figuring out how to market. My family never noticed, because they never bothered to ask. They thought I was wasting time on my laptop, but I wasn't wasting time. I was working nonstop, morning to night, every single day. I barely left my apartment unless I had to. Orders began to come in, then more, then more. And a month later, I did something for myself. I bought a car, not just any car, a brand new 2020 Toyota Camry. It wasn't a sports car, but it was mine, it was new, and it was proof. I took a picture of it, posted it online, and wrote a simple caption. "Hard work pays off. Congratulations on my new ride." That was it. Nothing flashy, nothing pretentious, just something for myself. 30 minutes later, my phone exploded. 30 minutes after I posted that photo, my phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Missed calls, messages, notifications stacking so fast I couldn't even read them in order. My sisters first, then my mom, then, surprisingly, my dad. The same man who hadn't said a single encouraging word to me in years suddenly wanted to talk. At first, it was disbelief. Is this a joke? Where did you get the money? You're lying. There's no way you bought that car. I smiled at my screen, not because I wanted revenge, but because I finally saw the truth laid out so clearly it almost felt generous of them. I answered a call from one of my sisters. It's real, I said calmly. I bought it myself. That was probably my mistake, because the second they realized I actually had money, they suddenly remembered I existed. My mom called right after. Her tone was different this time, softer, sweeter, almost warm, but in a way that felt rehearsed. We were just talking about you, she said. You know we really miss you. It's been too long. She missed me now. Not when I left. Not when they laughed me out of the house. Now. My dad sent me one text. Just one. The same man who used to sigh every time he looked at me suddenly wanted to check in. My sisters, the same ones who mocked me constantly, started complimenting my business, asking how I did it, telling me how proud they were. I knew exactly where this was going. 2 days later, the money request started. It began gently, almost cautiously. My mom called first. Her voice was careful, like she was afraid I might hang up if she moved too fast. Not her usual sharp tone, not her sarcasm. It was obviously fake, and I knew it even before she got to the point. Mary, darling, she said, how have you been? I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. She wanted to check in now. I've been good, I replied. Business is good. Oh, that's wonderful, honey, she said quickly. You've always been so smart. I always knew you had potential. That almost made me laugh. She sighed dramatically. Listen, I don't want to stress you out, but things have been a little tough around here. Your dad's hours have been cut and the bills are piling up. It's been so hard, Mary. We just need a little help. Nothing crazy, just a little. There it was. She kept going when I didn't respond. You're doing so well now, and $2,000 isn't much to you, is it? I mean, with your new car and everything. So now I had money. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I just said I'd think about it. That seemed to satisfy her for the moment. Then my dad called, which was rare. He didn't say hello. He didn't ask how I was. He went straight to the point. Listen, kid. Your mom's been worried sick. We have to handle things as a family. If you have money, you should help us. That's what family does. Family, that word again. Then my sisters chimed in, not even pretending to be nice. You should be grateful we raised you, one of them texted. We put up with you for 19 years. The least you could do is help us out. Put up with me, like I was some burden they carried. The other one texted right after. Mom and Dad did everything for you. You're so selfish. You can't just disappear and leave us to struggle. I stared at my phone for a long time. Just a month ago, these same people were laughing at me, telling me I was nothing. Now, because I had a car, because they thought I had money, I was suddenly responsible for them. I finally replied with 4 words. I'll think about it. They seemed satisfied with that answer, but I had already made up my mind. I wasn't giving them a single cent. And when they realized that, things got ugly. At first, they were patient, or at least they pretended to be. My mom sent little reminder texts, carefully worded to sound casual. Hey, sweetheart, just checking in. Any update on what we talked about? Then another a few hours later. No pressure at all. I know you're busy. We're just trying to figure things out over here. Every message ended with some version of we're so proud of you, like flattery might soften me into opening my wallet. Then my dad followed up. You said you'd think about it. It's been a week. My sisters weren't as subtle. Wow, can't believe you're actually being this selfish. Guess money really did change you. I ignored most of it. I had nothing to say to people who only heard what they wanted to hear. Then, out of nowhere, my mom called, sounding frantic. I let it ring a few times before answering, just long enough for the panic to settle into her voice. Mary, I didn't want to tell you this, she said, already crying. But we're in serious trouble. I had to take out a loan a while back, and now they're demanding the money. If we don't pay it by next week, we could lose everything. Her voice shook just enough to sound believable. If I didn't know her better, I might have fallen for it. How much? I asked, already knowing I wasn't sending a dime. 5,000, she said immediately. No hesitation. Please, Mary. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious. 5,000. Just a week ago, it was 2. Now it had more than doubled. I told her I'd get back to her and hung up, but something about the whole story felt wrong. Too smooth, too rehearsed, like she'd practiced it. A couple of days later, I ran into my aunt. I was grabbing coffee in the city when I saw her walking toward me, my mom's older sister. We were never especially close, but she was always kind to me. She listened when I talked. That alone set her apart from the rest of my family. "Mary," she said, smiling, "it's been so long." We talked for a bit, catching up, and then I decided to ask. "My mom said she took out a loan," I said carefully. "She said she has to pay it back next week or they'll lose everything." The second I said it, her face changed. Her smile dropped, replaced by something between disbelief and frustration. "There's no loan," she said. I stared at her. "What?" "They're lying to you," she sighed. "I told your mother it was wrong, but she doesn't listen. She thinks you owe her, and she figured if she scared you enough, you'd pay." My stomach tightened. "She laughed about it," my aunt continued. "Said you're young, you'll make more money. It's not a big deal." I couldn't speak. "She's done this before, Mary," she said quietly. "Not just to you, to me, to other relatives. Always some emergency, always some crisis that doesn't exist. When people stop giving her money, she moves on to the next person." That was the moment everything clicked. They weren't desperate. They weren't struggling. They were planning. My own mother had sat there, invented a story, and tried to scare me into handing over thousands of dollars, and I had almost believed her. I walked home in a daze, replaying my aunt's words over and over. The fake panic, the perfect number, the sudden urgency, the way my sisters and dad had lined up right behind her. When I got home, my phone was full of new messages. "Please, Mary, we're running out of time. Be a woman and take care of your family." "Are you really going to let us lose everything?" I stared at the screen, disgusted. I could have called my mom right then and told her I knew. I could have exposed the lie, blown everything up in one angry message. But that would have been too easy. Instead, I sent one text. "I've been thinking. You're right. I should help my family. Meet me at the bank tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'll pull out the money in cash." The response was instant. "Oh, sweetheart, thank you," my mom wrote. "You have no idea how much this means to us." I smiled. I had a very good idea. I arrived at the bank early, not because I was eager, but because I wanted to see something. I parked across the street and watched the entrance like it was a stage. A few minutes later, my family appeared together, my mom near the door, chatting animatedly with my dad, my sisters trailing behind her, laughing and nudging each other like they were heading to brunch, not a financial crisis. They didn't look scared. They didn't look desperate. They looked excited. That's when it hit me. They had already decided how they'd spend the money. My mom's little luxuries, my dad going back to doing nothing, my sisters shopping or planning some trip they'd pretend I didn't help pay for. They weren't worried about losing everything. They were celebrating before they even had the cash. I took a deep breath, got out of the car, and walked toward them. The moment my mom saw me, her face lit up. She actually reached out to hug me, arms open, like we were in some emotional reunion scene. I stepped back. No need for that," I said lightly. "Let's go inside." We walked in together. I went straight to the counter. My mom hovered close, like she was afraid I might change my mind at the last second. My dad stood back with his arms crossed. My sisters suddenly went quiet. I smiled at the teller. "Hi, I'd like to check my balance, please." My mom's smile twitched. "Mary, just withdraw the money." "1 second," I said. "Actually, can you also check if there's a loan under my mother's name? I'm just curious." The air changed instantly. My mom froze. My dad cleared his throat. My sisters exchanged looks. The teller glanced at my mom, then back at me. "A loan, you said?" "Yes," I replied calmly. I turned toward my mom. "The one you told me about. The one you desperately need to pay back before next week." My mom looked like she'd been slapped. Her mouth opened, then closed. Nothing came out. My dad stepped in. "This isn't necessary." "Oh, it is," I said, keeping my eyes on the teller. "Go ahead and check." My mom grabbed my arm. "We're leaving." I pulled away. "No, we're not." The teller typed for a moment, then shook her head. "There's no loan under this name." Silence. I turned to my mother. "That's strange," I said, "because you told me there was." She tried to speak, words tumbling over each other. I was going to explain. I didn't mean... I laughed. A real laugh, the kind that surprised even me. "Explain what?" "How you planned to steal from me. How you laughed about it and thought I'd hand it over like an idiot." My dad wouldn't look at me. My sisters backed away, suddenly very interested in the floor. I pulled out my phone, opened my aunt's message, and held it up. "You lied to me," I said, my voice steady. "And you've done this before." My mom's face crumpled. "Mary, please." "We're done," I said. I turned around and walked out. I didn't wait for excuses. I didn't need them. That night, my phone exploded. Calls, voicemails, texts layered on top of each other. We were scared. It was a misunderstanding. "Don't turn your back on your family. Do you think you're better than us now? I blocked every single one of them. For the first time in my life, I felt free. But I wasn't finished. Blocking them felt good, but I knew it wouldn't be enough. People like my family don't stop just because you close one door. They find windows. They invent new emergencies. They rewrite history until they sound like the victims and you sound like the monster. I didn't want years of new numbers, new lies, new attempts to pull me back into the same cycle. So I decided to end it properly. A week later, I unblocked them just long enough to send one message. "I've been thinking," I wrote. "Family is everything. Life is too short for grudges. I want to make things right. Let's start fresh. My treat." Then I attached 4 plane tickets. First class, luxury resort in the Caribbean, all expenses paid. At least that's what it looked like. I didn't even have time to put my phone down before it started ringing. My mom's name lit up the screen, and for the first time in my life, I answered with a smile. "Oh, sweetheart," she said, already crying. "We knew you'd come around. We've missed you so much." My dad texted right after. "Proud of you, Mary. This means a lot." My sisters flipped instantly, like someone had switched personalities. "We knew you weren't selfish. This is going to be amazing. Family first, always." It was actually embarrassing how fast they changed. I told them to meet me at the airport in 2 weeks. I said I'd handle everything. All they had to do was show up. They didn't question it, not once. While they were packing swimsuits and bragging to friends about their upcoming luxury vacation, I booked my own real trip somewhere completely different. Quiet, peaceful, somewhere I couldn't be reached. The day arrived. I was already sitting by the ocean on my actual vacation when the messages started coming in. "We just got to the airport. This place is huge. Where are you? We can't find you." I didn't reply. An hour later, the tone shifted. "They're saying the tickets aren't real." "Mary, what did you do?" Then the calls started. Angry, panicked, humiliated. They had gone to check in with bags packed, dressed for a luxury getaway, only to be told the tickets were canceled. Not fake, canceled. Because I had booked them and refunded every single one. They stood there in the airport, surrounded by strangers, realizing too late that they'd been played. The voicemails were unhinged, screaming, crying, threats, accusations. "You humiliated us. How could you do this to your own family?" We looked like idiots. I took a sip of my drink and watched the waves roll in. Then I sent one final message. I figured it was only fair. After all, lying to family is just what we do, right? I blocked them, forever. That should have been the end of it. For a while, it was. They raged. Then they guilt-tripped. Then they tried fake kindness. I ignored everything. Eventually, the messages stopped. Months passed. My business kept growing. I moved into a better apartment. I bought an even nicer car. Life felt stable in a way it never had before. Then one day, I got a message from an unknown number. It was my youngest cousin. "I thought you should know," she wrote. "Your parents have been telling everyone you stole from them and abandoned the family." I laughed out loud. I called my aunt, and she sighed like she'd been expecting it. "They're playing the victims," she said. "Most people know what they're like, but they're trying to make you the villain." I didn't confront them. I didn't defend myself. I didn't explain. They could tell whatever story they needed to survive their own choices. Years later, I heard through my aunt that my parents had dug themselves deep into debt. My dad lost his job. My mom burned through whatever money they had left. My sisters never really went anywhere. One still lived at home. The other barely scraped by. They spent so much time scheming and manipulating that they never built anything of their own. And me. I was thriving. I had a real life, a real career, real success. And the best part of all, I didn't owe them a single thing. In the end, they laughed at me when I left at 19. But I got the last laugh.